For our next tutorial, we're going to create a coffee cup using the Revolve tool as well as some other tools. So we're going to go ahead and go create. We're going to create a new document. We're going to call this coffee cup. We're going to spell it right because it has two E's. All right. And then as we create it, the first sketch that we're going to do is going to be on the front plane. So I'm going to click front plane, swing to the front, and go ahead and start my sketch. I'm going to start out drawing a couple of lines. So I'm going to draw a line horizontal over to being above the origin. You can see the origin lights up when I get above it. I'm going to draw down, and then I'm going to draw over. I'm actually going to end my tool right there. So my first set of things, I'm going to go ahead then and make this line 70 millimeters. I'm going to make the line up here 45. And I'm going to make the line down here 25. And just so you're aware, the cup that I'm drawing, I'm only drawing half of it because I'm going to swing it, or I'm going to use an axis to create material around it. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. But for now, just know that if you're doing this on your own, this measurement and this measurement here are half of what they're going to be when I create it. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to grab my line tool and I'm going to turn on construction line. And I'm going to draw a construction line that exceeds from the origin straight up and goes above my drawing. Now the nice part about this is this won't actually show in solid form, but it's going to be very, very useful for doing the other things I need to do. The other things I need to do real quick are a 3-point arc that will start here, come up here-ish, and bend this way. And then I'm going to take my line tool and go from this endpoint to that endpoint. Now I do have a couple of things that I need to do. The first one is I'm going to select the arc and the line, this angled line right here, and I'm going to make them tangent. That's a relationship that needs to exist. Next, I'm going to use my dimension tool, and this is going to have a radius dimension of 60 millimeters. And from this point to the line is going to have 5 millimeters. This now gets me fully defined. Okay, this is my sketch one. This is going to be the main body of my cup. Now, before I do anything else, I'm actually going to create a sketch 2. The reason I'm going to create sketch 2 on the front plane is because I need to use some of these lines. So lines that I need to reuse, like this line right here, I can actually click this button that says use, and now it's a defined line that matches the one behind it perfectly. Same with this line, same with the construction line, and that will be it. The next button that I'm going to use is this one, and this is called offset. What offset does is it makes a copy of a line a certain distance away. So I'm going to click the bottom of the cup, the curve, and this edge. After I've clicked those 3 lines, I'm going to click the arrow. You can see the arrow turns orange, and that sends it the other direction. And if I click off, then it's going to allow me to set the offset distance. That's the distance between the two, and I'm going to leave it at 5 millimeters. Now what you'll notice is I've now enclosed kind of the center of the cup. This is the portion that's going to be hollow. The reason I'm doing this is I'm going to use sketch 1 to create the cup. I'm going to use sketch 2 to cut out the center where the liquid would go after I add the handle, because part of my handle will end up kind of sticking into that area. That's why I'm doing it this way. You'll kind of see what I mean in a little bit. I do want to, just to make sure this is very clear and clean, I am going to use my trim tool and make sure I don't have any extra things hanging out down low, nor up here. You can see this line just comes just a little bit up, and I don't need that line right there. The gray ones are fine because they're in the sketch behind it, but now I've got this fully defined based on the edge of this. So again, if I went in and made a change in the first one, This line should, again, follow the line it's on. This line follows the line it's on. And these will all be 5 millimeters inside of whatever those lines become if I do go make a change. So I couldn't label these. I'm just going to leave them as sketch 1 and sketch 2 for now. Because what I am going to do is grab my sketch 1, look at it in 3D, and then next to extrude is the revolve. It's the one that looks like a partially eaten donut. What it's automatically going to do is grab the face of sketch 1, and it's going to ask for a revolve axis. The reason I stick this axis up is now it's real easy to click. And it will revolve that around and create material rotating around this. That's exactly what I want. And this is going to be the cup portion. So I will label it as such. And that's the first part. The next thing I'm going to do is I need to start to make the handle. So to make the handle, you'll see what I actually need is a surface somewhere in here to draw the profile of the handle on from the top. Currently, there is not a surface there for me to draw on. So we're going to create one. So if I look at my 3D view, and I'm going to select the top plane, because what I want is, it's like the top plane, but it's raised up in the middle of the cup. So I'm going to click this tool, which is the plane tool, so I can actually make one of these imaginary surfaces. They will call it plane 1. If you'd like to change that term to handle or handle profile or something like that, you can. It's like the top plane, but it is offset, and currently it's trying to offset 25 millimeters. Now, my whole cup is 35 millimeters, and I've said a couple times I want this halfway up. So half of 70 is 35. I'm going to put that, and I can actually look at it from the front, and you can see it's in the middle, and it lines up right with that line edge that I made 35 in my sketch. And that is exactly what I want to do. Now I'm going to select that plane, look at it from the top, and open my sketch, and verify that it says plane 1 and not top in this view. If it says top in this view, your sketch is not going to end up where we need it. So I'm going to make two things. I'm going to grab the line tool, I'm going to change it to construction, and I'm going to draw a vertical line just somewhere in here. I'll dimension it in a few minutes, but just in that location is just fine. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ellipse tool. For my first click, I'm going to come off the origin. So you can see that's orange highlighted, and I've got the orange dashed line. So I'm going to come straight horizontal from the origin, click, go up some, and go out some. Now, unfortunately, I had left the construction line on, so my ellipse is for construction only. If you happen to do that accidentally, just click on it, click this button again, turns it back into a solid shape, which is exactly what I want. Now I need to add a few dimensions. So I grab my dimension tool. From the origin to the center line, I want 35 millimeters. Now from the center line to the center of the ellipse is now going to be 25. The height of the ellipse in this case is going to be 15. And the width or thickness of the ellipse in this case is going to be 7. These are the measurements that you want to use. Okay? And if your ellipse is not fully defined, you might want to draw it again, because you may not have gone from this straight up and added that vertical relationship there. Okay? There's not a line there for you to add that to. You could try to select a point and a point, and usually it's easier to just redraw it and make sure you draw it correctly. But this is the view for my sketch 3. I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'll leave sketch 3 highlighted, turn myself back to my isometric view, and I'm going to click revolve again. Now, my revolve axis this time is that horizontal axis I drew. And right now, it is revolving, and a portion of my revolve is also going through the cup, which is fine. I told you already I'm going to cut it out later. Now, one of the things I do want to just take the opportunity to show is that we also have the capability, not just of doing full revolves, but also of doing revolves in a single direction, which, as you can see, this really wouldn't do what we want because my handle needs to go both up and down. We can do it in 2 directions, or we can do it symmetrically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click symmetric. And right now, it's going partially up and partially down. in that 30 degrees. So 15 up, 15 down. I'm going to go ahead and put 180 in here. Sorry, I put 18, 180. As you can see, that goes halfway. It goes 90 degrees each side. You can see this one's into the cup. This one is not quite into the cup yet, and that's not really what we want. We want it to go inside the cup. So in looking at it from the front view, I'm going to go ahead and increase this number. Does 200 do it? It does. We kind of get in there. I'm going to actually do something like 210. How much I actually do, like I said, doesn't really matter since I know I'm going to cut the inside out, but that does give me a nice idea that I am all the way in, okay? I could even do something like 270. One of the other ones that's pretty useful is this 2 directions one. So in this direction, I am going to go 90 degrees. And in this direction, I am going to go negative 90 degrees. And again, that gets me to that 180. I'm going to try negative 120. See, that puts me into the cup for sure. Again, we want both of these lines into the cup. So this is the one I actually like to use to make the handle. And there we go. Again, if I had cut the center of the cup out now, those handle pieces would be sticking out into the cup. But at this point now, I can click Sketch 2. It's still there. Click Revolve. Click Remove. I do want to tell it to merge with all, so it makes sure to take everything away. And the last thing I'm going to do, and while I can't see it, I can't see my sketch, so I'm going to turn it on so I can grab this line. There we go, revolve axis, and grab that. So as it shows, it's going to cut out all of the cup. And this is the cup cut. And there we go. Now I've got my cup cut out. Okay. Since I turned that sketch on, I can then click the eyeball to turn it back off so I don't have to look at it. One of the other things that you might find a little distracting is you have that plane in the middle that you created. You can also click the eyeball to turn that off as well. When we're all done, I'm going to have you actually turn all the planes off so we can very clearly see the cup. Now, while this is kind of nice, it's not necessarily realistic. If this cup was made out of a porcelain or a ceramic material, it wouldn't exactly have these hard square edges because they chip too easily, made out of that material. So we're going to use our fillet tool. We're going to set our fillet to 2.5 millimeters. And we're going to click the outside edge of the top, the inside edge of the top, and the outside edge of the bottom. And as I do that, you'll notice we kind of round this edge down here nicely. And I end up with a fully round top piece up here at the top. That looks really nice. Now what I want to do is I actually want to start looking at the bottom of the cup. Because if you look at a coffee cup, it usually has kind of a ring that it sits on and then an inset. I'm not quite sure why that's there, but we're going to go ahead and make it. So I'm going to click on the bottom surface of the cup and start a sketch. I'm going to again use our friend Offset, clicking the inner circle right here. It'll go to the outside. I'm going to reverse it and send it to the inside and accept it. The nice part is that's now fully defined. I can grab that sketch. I can extrude, remove. It's going up. I only want it to go up 2 millimeters. And create that little indent. Now again, we don't have these hard corners, so I'm going to start a fillet. I'm going to set my radius this time to 1, and I am going to go on that inner edge, so it adds material to kind of smooth that out, and I'm also going to come on this outer edge, so it rounds that over as well. So you can see that's kind of the way that inside is going to look, where it's rounded up to the surface, rounded down and down to the flat surface, again creating that little ring that makes our coffee cup a lot more realistic. Now, as I said, we want to hide some of these things. So if I go next to top, I can click the eyeball to hide it. Same with front, same with right side, so I can see just the cup. I'm going to go down to my parts. I'm going to rename this coffee cup. I'm also going to add the material. They do not have ceramic, just as a generic one, but something very similar is porcelain. So if you type POR, you will get porcelain and add it. And then feel free to go ahead and right click on this. If you'd like to change its appearance, these pastel-y type colors are definitely very likely. So go ahead and just pick the color you want. I'm going to pick this nice pastel-y green color. I am going to show the material properties. I'm going to click coffee cup. And this is the screenshot that I want. As I can see your coffee cup. It shows me that you've done it correctly. You've got your mask showing there. And this is the screenshot that you will turn in. Good job using your first part, or making your first part using revolves.